Hey guys, this is lesson 3.3 and you're going to learn how to multiply decimal numbers by whole numbers. So as I go over example 1, I'm going to show you the traditional way and the lattice way. So I don't care which way you use. So focus on the one you tend to use more often. So I'll start with traditional. So when you are multiplying a decimal times a whole number, a good trick is to just pretend there are no decimals when you multiply. So just pretend that's 83 times 4. Because you don't put the decimal in until the end anyway. So when I multiply that, it's pretty easy. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry the 1. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 is 33. I get my digits, 332. Now watch how you figure out where your decimal is. You have to count the decimal digits in the problem. Now 4 doesn't have any, but 0.83 has 2. They're the digits that come after the decimal point. So in your answer, you must also have 2. So my answer is going to be 3.32. Now when I do lattice, now notice I only do a 2x1 grid. That's because I don't do a lattice grid for that first whole number 0. So I just have my 0.83, and notice where I put my decimal point, and times 4 wholes. Now remember 4, and the number 4, the decimal's after it. So when I write my 4 here, I'm going to put my decimal after it. So I multiply it just like I normally would. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 8 is 32. And I'm going to add those up. 2, 3, 3. But now watch how I get my decimal point. So this decimal here only drops down, and this decimal here only goes left. And they go until where they meet. And where they meet, they go down that diagonal line, and that's where you get your decimal point, 3.32. So that's how you multiply decimal times a whole with lattice and traditional. Now let's go down and take a look at your practice problems. So we're going to be working on A, B, and C. So here's what I want you to do first. First thing I want you to do is do problem A and only A. I'll go over this both ways, so however you decide to do it works for me. So do A, pause the video while you do it, and when you're done, restart it, and we'll see what you get. Go ahead. All right, so you should have done problem A, so let's see how you did it. So first, traditional. Remember, just do 20, oops, let me undo that. Just do 25 times 5. Pretend there's no decimals to get your digits. And honestly, you could probably do that in your head. I know 5 quarters is $1.25, so 5 times 25 is 125. Now, as far as where your decimals go, check this out. There are 2 decimal digits in the problem. Remember, there aren't any in 5. That's a whole number. So your answer needs to have 2 decimal digits. See, 1, 2. So it's 1.25. Now, if you did lattice, you're going to set it up 0.25 times 5. Don't forget to put your decimal down here in 5 because it's 5 wholes. And then I'm going to multiply. I get 25, and I get 10. And then I'm going to add them, 5, 2, and 1. And remember how the decimals go. This one goes down, this one goes over, and where they meet, take that diagonal line down to get your answer, 1.25. So if you had that, give yourself a C. If not, just think about what you did wrong, no big deal. Now we are going to go over to B and C. So here's what I'm going to have you do. If you are a traditional person, you're going to do just B. If you are a lattice person, you are only going to do C. Now when you're done, I'm going to go over both. I'll only do B traditional, I'll only do C lattice, so you can fast forward through the problem that you didn't do. All right, so decide, do B if you're traditional, do C if you're lattice. Pause the video. When you're done, restart it. Go. All right, guys, if you did traditional, you did problem B, just watch B. You could fast forward through C. So let me get started. I'm going to first write it out as, I just pretend it's 447 times 8. And I'm going to multiply it just like that. So 8 times 7 is 56, carry the 5. 8 times 4 is 32. 32 plus 5 is 37. Write the 7, carry the 3. 8 times 4 is 32. 32 plus 3 is 35. So my digits are 3, 5, 7, 6. Now for the decimal point. Again, this one only has 2 decimal digits. Remember, 8 is a whole number, no decimal digits. So my answer needs to have 2 decimal digits. So 35.76 is my answer. Now, C, if you did lattice, this is the one you should be watching. If you did traditional, you can fast forward through this problem. So I'm going to set it up with 2.63 times 9. Remember, the decimal's at the end of the 9. And I'm going to start by getting my digits. So 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 6 is 54. And 9 times 2 is 18. And then I'm going to add my diagonals. 7, 6, 13, 2. And I get 2, 3, 6, 7 as my digits. Now remember how the decimals meet. This one only goes down. This one only goes over. And where they meet, take that diagonal line down. And you get 23 and 67 hundredths. All right, so let's go on to the next page. Let's continue. Okay, on this page, I'm going to go over example 4 and only example 4. I'll do it both ways, and then we'll do some down below. So let me get it set up. All right, so in this one, traditional people, there's one little extra trick that you're going to have to worry about. So first, I'm going to solve it just as if there's no decimal. So I'm going to just pretend it's 18 times 2. And 18 times 2 is pretty easy. So 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. I get 3, 6 as my digits. But watch where you have to do a little bit of thinking. So remember, 2 doesn't have any decimal digits, but 18 thousandths has 3. 1, 2, 3. Now the problem is when I look down at my number, I only have 2 digits. So I must add a 0 in front of it so I have 3 digits. And I'm going to put my decimal right here. Now notice I have my 3 decimal digits, 1, 2, 3. So my answer is going to be 36 thousandths, not hundredths. Make sure the number of decimal digits in the problem matches your answer. Now lattice people, you don't have to worry about that, adding a 0, because your lattice is going to have it built in. Now look at, I did a 3 by 1 lattice. Remember, I don't need a lattice for that whole number 0. If you do one, you can still get it right. You're just giving yourself extra work. But I do need a lattice box for the decimal 0. All right? Otherwise, you're not going to get this one right. So I have 0.018 times 2. Don't forget the decimals at the end of the 2. And I'm going to multiply and get my digits. 8 times 2 is 16. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 0 is 0. And I'm going to add up my diagonals. 6, 3, 0, 0. Now watch again. The decimals meet just like they did before. So this goes down. This goes over. They meet here. Diagonal down. I have 36 thousandths. So the benefit of the lattice in this case is you don't have to worry about adding that extra 0 because it's added when you do the lattice. All right, the benefit of traditional is it's a quicker one if you know how to do it. All right, so let's go down and check out a couple problems below. So we are going to, I'm going to start you out with problem 6. I just want you to pause the video, do 6, however you do it. I'll go over that one both ways. All right, pause it, get started, restart it when you're done with D. Go. All right, you should be done with problem D, so I'm going to go over it both ways. This is going to be quick both ways. So first, traditional. I'm just going to do 3 times 2, which honestly, do I need to write that out? 3 times 2 is 6, right? You know that. Now, watch how I figure out my decimals. There are 2 decimal digits in my problem. Remember, 3 is a whole number, no decimal digits. So my answer needs to have 2 decimal digits. So I'm going to add a 0 before, put my decimal. I have 6 hundredths. Notice I have 2 decimal digits. Now lattice, remember I don't do a lattice for the whole number 0. I just do 0.02. Times the other number is 3, whole number down here. I multiply, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 0 is 0. I'll add up my diagonals, 6, 0, 0, and I'll place my decimal. This one goes down, this one goes over, X marks the spot, 0.06. Same thing. So you decide what way you like to do it. Now, what you are going to do here is you're going to do either E or F. You're not going to do both, unless you like doing both. So E, I'm going to go over that one. I'm going to do that one lattice. So if you're a lattice person, just do E. If you're traditional, do F. I'll go over it traditional that way. So do which one you think, which one works for you, and restart the video when you're done. Go. Okay, you should be done with either E or F. So remember, you only have to watch the one that you did. So I'm going to start with E, which is if you're only watching this if you did the lattice. So I have my lattice for 0.12 times 8. Remember, no lattice for that 0. And I multiply. I get 16. I get 8. I add up my digits. I get 6, 9, 0. Now, watch where the decimals meet. Remember, they meet right here. That's where your decimal is going to be. So you should have 96 hundredths. Now, traditional people here, let's get started. So remember, just do 45 times 11, or 11 times 45, it doesn't matter. So 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4. Don't forget, traditional people, you have to remember to fill in a 0 before you multiply the second digit. So if you didn't do that, you know you're going to be wrong. So 1 times 5 again is 5, and 1 times 4 again is going to be 4. I'm going to add those up, 5, 9, 4. So however you did it, these should be your digits, 495. Now watch where the decimal point goes. I have 3 decimal digits in my problem. Remember, 11's a whole number, no decimal digits. So I need 3 decimal digits, 1, 2, 3, in my answer. So I should have 495 thousandths. All right, last page, just an example here. So I'm going to pause it and get ready for this, and then you can watch it. All right, so I'm all ready with a clear spot to do some work. So I'm going to read it and circle some stuff. A batch of trail mix calls for 1.2 pounds of dry cereal. So I'm thinking about that. 1.2 pounds of dry cereal is for a batch. Think of that as one batch. Nigella is making 5 batches. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to multiply these to get something for 5 batches. But she already has 2.2 pounds of dry cereal. Okay, so she already has that. How many more pounds of dry cereal does she need? All right, so let's think about this. We have to figure out how much she needs first. Now, she's making 5 batches, and we know each batch needs 1.2 pounds. Now, remember, after we figure out what she needs, then we have to figure out how many more pounds she needs, because remember, she has some already. So this will be how many more. This is a 2-stepper. All right, you're ready. So let me start here. To figure out how much she needs, we know each batch calls for 1.2 pounds of dry cereal, and she's making 5 batches. So I'm going to do 1.2 times 5. Now remember, I'm doing this one traditional because it's a quick one. I only need one. I pretend it's 12 times 5, and I know 12 times 5 is 60. Oop, that should be a 0. I'm a little sloppy there. There's 1 decimal digit, so my answer needs to have 1 decimal digit. So overall, for 5 batches, she's going to need 6 pounds of dry cereal. But remember, she already has 2.2. And the question wants us to find how many more pounds does she need. So what we've got to do, how many more almost always means to subtract, if you see those words. So I'm going to take what she needs for 6 batches, 6.0, and I'm going to subtract the 2.2 pounds she has. So let me do some subtracting here. 10 minus 2 is 8. 5 minus 2 is 3. So how many more pounds? She needs 3.8 pounds more. So this was a 2-stepper. That combines multiplying with subtracting decimals, so you really have to think. All right, anyway, you're done with me on the video. If you were absent, I know you have to do some of these guided practice problems, so check your absence sheet. And if you have any questions, please ask me for help. Don't just not understand it. Thank you for watching, guys. Later.